So, I have a bit of a weird story that I've told to a few people that I work with of a past person that quit because of me. And it's just something that's very weird. So, I work in a factory, and there was a guy who had the same name as me. Well, he worked there maybe about a month, and they asked me to go back there and help them stack some boxes, stack some stuff on a pallet. So I go back there and I start talking to him. I see he's wearing a Star Wars shirt, and it's around the time that I think it was episode 7 came out. And I told him, I went to see that, and he said, oh, I didn't like it. I'm like, oh, well, it was alright. I told him I think that they could, it was okay. They could have done it better, but there's potential there. And I told him I think that Rey could have been a good standalone hero. And he was looking at me weird. I was like, it's like basically all the Star Wars movies comes in pairs of 3. You got the setup, then you got the, the middle part where it like builds the story, then you got the ending one where, final conclusion. So, my opinion was that if they were to take Rey and in that second movie, take her and have her go on one of those like top adventures where she has to find her lightsaber crystal. And if you know anything about, this Star Wars lore on the kyber crystals, you'll kind of see what I'm going after. My thinking was she would go to one of the planets where the crystals are at. Alright, she uses the Force, she finds her crystal, she does the Jedi trial, and then she gets a crystal. It's one of those that looks like it's 2 put together. But whenever she finds it and she picks it up, it cracks and breaks in half. She starts, getting discouraged. She feels down. She takes it back to Luke, and Luke is like, dude, you can use Force Heal. Let's see if you can do that. And she heals the kyber crystal. And if you know anything about kyber crystals in Star Wars, you can actually heal them. And whenever you heal a kyber crystal, it turns white or silver, I think it is. Well, anyways, have her do that, and then she now has 2 crystals, and Luke can be like, okay, you got 2 options right now. You can make a double-bladed lightsaber, or you can make 2 lightsabers. And then have her where she makes a double-bladed lightsaber, but she can break it apart in half. Sort of like in Jedi Survivor, where you can customize your lightsaber to be double-bladed or have 2 blades. And then, that way she has her own special color. It's white. She has her own unique lightsaber. And he ended up quitting over that. Because I saw he was getting irritated, and he didn't quit that day. He ended up at the end of the day saying, I no longer can work here because of him. He said some stuff and I didn't really like it. I didn't find out until the next day. So anyways, we get talking, and he seems to be slightly irritated about my opinion. He didn't say anything, he just looked pissed off. And even after I explained my thought process, he was still pissed off. So, I was like, okay, I need to switch tactics. So I told him, what do you think about the Battlefront games? And he was like, oh, I didn't like them. I'm like, no, not the newer ones. I meant the older ones. Now, Battlefront 1 is always kind of iffy, sometimes complete shit, but sometimes it's okay. And I told him, no, I meant the original Battlefront, because I recently downloaded it and started playing it because I used to play that as a kid. And he was like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, I did like it. And me and him had a pleasant conversation. And I thought we were cool. Apparently the next day I come in and he's no longer there. And I start talking to the lady that's training me on the machine and working with me. And she says that he quit. I'm like, oh, really? Why? She said, well, he said that it was because of you. I'm like, why? I didn't do anything. And then I told her what we talked about, and she's like, he quit over your opinion on Star Wars. I'm like, That's the only thing I can think of. I told her the entire conversation, and she thought it was weird. I'm like, I don't know. So, thought that was a weird story. So,